Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful rose, which is going to be part of a bouquet for a wedding. If you've seen the other videos, you know that I'm making that as a project, but today I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful rose. All you're going to need is some wire, some embroidery thread and some size 11 seed beads. Okay, let's get started. Good morning everybody. It's lovely to be outside beading for a change. I hope the shadows aren't going to cause too much of an issue for us, but hopefully not. So I'm going to show you how to make one of these petals for the rose. There are several methods of making rose petals, but this is by far the easiest, especially if you're a beginner. So take one, about 40 centimeters of 0.3 millimeter wire. Take one bead, slide it down in the middle and take your two ends so that they're even, and slide your fingers up your wire to kind of make it sit there and like a little point. We'll zoom in. Oops. Zoom. There we go, like that. Oh, that sunshine is gorgeous. So once you've got that, pick up two beads on one side of your wire, like so, just two. And then I find it easier to hold the two wires together instead of trying to thread it through, and just cross them over like that at the top. And then pull them down. You want to pull them down evenly if you can to the middle, and if it can help to hold your wire in your fingers like that, and then just keep pulling, trying your best to keep it even as you go down, then switch to just one hand, hold it like that. I'm holding it there so it doesn't run away on me, and just keep gently going down until you come towards the end there, and then just try and get it even like that. There we go. So you've got a little group of three now. Then pull it nice and tight. So put it downwards first, like that, and then up, like that. And then the second row, my first row, that's 2, is going to be 4. So I've got 4 beads. I'm going to do exactly the same. Just going to pop that one next to the other one, push them across, and then thread them down. Wow, that sun's actually hot now. It's gorgeous. Oops. If it's uneven, it doesn't matter. You can just straighten it up like that. Oops. Just even it out as you go. Doesn't matter. You don't have to do it the same way as me. So like that. Pull down and up, down and up, just to make sure it's nice and tight. So it goes 2, 4, and then we're going to get 6 this time. Oops. Bent the wire. 2, 4, 5, 6. Do the same again. So hard doing this at arm's length, it really is. There we go, and pull. So, and then nice and firmly pull down not so hard that you break your thread, or your wire rather. Pull down and up, down and up, just like that. And then you're going to keep going up in increments of 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So just keep going like that, and your top row should have 18. So we've got 2, 4, 6. My next one is 8. So basically that's what you've got to do. Keep doing that until you have made, until you get to 18. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Well, no, I'm not. What am I counting to 18? 2, 4, 6, I made 8, don't I? I get carried away. 2, 4, 6, 8. That's because the last thing I said was 18. Now I'm going to count to 18. My poor brain. I got up really early this morning and started beading, so I've already got bead blindness, bead brain. I was up beading before I even had a coffee this morning, so it's super early. You don't have to hold it like that. You can just pull it, you know, bit by bit like that if you want to. But you don't have to hold it in your fingers how I showed you at the beginning, just however you feel comfortable. And down, give it that little tighten up so that the edges here are nice and neat. You don't want bulges of wire sticking out. So down and then up, down and then up, like so. Keeping that tension nice and tight. So just keep doing that until, like I say, go up in increments of 2, and your last row will be 18 beads. So yeah, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. And when you get to that row, I'll come back and meet you there. And once you've got your 18, pull them down this way, but don't bend them back up. And depending on the size of your beads, I mean, we're all going to use 11 O's, but you might be using Toho, you could be using Preciosa, you could be using any kind of beads. I'm using Miyuki, and as you know, all the beads come up different sizes, so 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, they come up different sizes, so depending on what beads you're using, you might have to use one more, one less, a couple more, a couple less, because they, you know, they all come up a bit different. But if you're using Miyuki and your petal is going to be 18 on the edge, you should need 11 for your sides. So you take your 11 seed beads and simply post them through that bottom one, like so, and then do the same on the other side. So we'll take another 11 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. On the other side, and do the same. Just post it through the hole on the bottom there, and voila, you have a petal. Pull them both down. Trying to keep it reasonably flat. Put your fingernail right up against that bead and twist, like so. There we go. And that's how you make your petal. And we can shape them slightly like these ones by just putting your finger in it and giving it a little squeeze to shape them, to curl them round. Oh, someone's got a power tool out now, can you believe it? And the same for the middles. I used this tool and I just curled it round, you know, wrapped it and kept curling it tighter and tighter, and then slightly fold it in on itself to make the middle one, like so. And then just keep making the petals, and you'll need 11 for each rose. So I think that's right, yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you need 11 for each rose, but I'm going to do mine mixed. So out. Out. Sorry about that, guys. I'm going to have to edit that bit because I just had to chase a dog. There's a broken fence panel, and I put something up against it, but there's a really big dog over the back there, and it's got in my garden. I had to go and chase him away, so hopefully I don't get bitten. Don't know where I was. Yeah, that's how you do your leaves. Curl the middle, your petals rather, and then we've got to do a leaf skirt and put it on the stem, and that's all there is to it. So you need to make 11 of these first, and I've done mine in 2 shades. I don't know if you can see that in this. Yeah, there you go. So mine are going to be sort of 2-tone rather than just one flat colour of purple. So that would be the middle look. And then curl these over a bit, so we can do so like that, and then maybe this colour next. How pretty is that going to look? And then that one, yeah, that's going to be nice. I like that. Right, I'm going to go away and make some more. Like I say, mine's going to be 2-tone. I've already got 11, but I want some of this other colour, some more of it. So I've got 2 middle stems. These would make a lovely Mother's Day gift, or a birthday gift, or Christmas gift, you know. And they could be for anyone, mums, aunties, for a special occasion, a wedding, a prom, you know. Little bouquets and little, what do you call it, posies of flowers. And these are the ones I've already made, but I've got to make some more of this baby's breath, or gypsophilia, whatever you call it. These are the ones I've done. That's the blooming lavender and the baby's breath, gypsophilia, whatever it's called. I think that's what its real name is, gypsophilia. Yeah, that's so far for my little bouquet. I did a little short on these, but I don't know if you've all seen that or not. So yeah, I've got to make a bunch more of those, and I've still got some more lavender on the build. But yeah, that's how we do the rose petals. We can do some more flowers as well if you want. I just thought I'd do just the rose for now. So yeah, 11 of these, including your one in the centre, which we're going to curl up. Yeah, and then get back to me and I'll show you how to do the leaf skirt that goes around, you know, the edge of the rose at the bottom, and how to put it on the stem. Okay guys, see you all soon. Okay, so we're back and I'm going to do my leaves. And what you need to do for your leaves first is to string a load of green beads onto your wire. I'm going to use 0.5 because I want them to be a little bit stiffer. And I'm going to cheat and I'm going to use my bead spinner. These are quite cool things. It's just a wooden bowl and you've got one that sits on top of the other, and then they spin like so. So hopefully we have got enough of these beads for it to work well. So you just take your wire, bend it into a hook and stick it in your beads. She says, and now it's not going to work, watch and see. Stick your hook in and then spin your spinner, and they, as you see, start coming up the, look at that. How cool is that? Kind of like self-threading. So, and then bring your hook out. Wow, look how many I got in one go. All in one go. So if you're making flowers, bead spinner is a great thing to have. I actually got this for my birthday. It was a gift, so but it's invaluable. Look at that. All those beads all strung in one go. Let's try it again. Oh, this is fun. I hardly ever, well, I think I've only used it once or twice. I made, what did I make? No, I didn't have that. I haven't really actually, to be honest, used it. I haven't had a project sort of that I needed it for. Right, should we go in a bit closer? You can see how it works. It's pretty neat, really. So if you're going to do lots of beaded flowers or something where you need lots of beads on your wire, this is a great thing to have, is a bead spinner. Look at that. See them coming along on the, it's like they're just climbing up the wire. Just can't get the right angle on it. You can tell when I've got the wrong angle because it stops growing. You see them coming up the wire. Really cool. And then I'll just put my finger on the end of the wire like that so I don't lose any. And I've got all those, look. So yeah, string yourself. I really don't know how many. I'm going to string, I don't know, 2 or 3 times that. I don't know. Just going to keep going and add a few more. So string a whole bunch of green seed beads. I'm not sure how many. By the time I've made them, I'll know how many roughly. So I'll measure it first. That's, I've got almost 30 centimetres. If I string it on until I've got 40 centimetres of beads, and then if we only use half of them, at least we'll know how many we need to use. So I'm going to keep going with my funky bead spinner. I could do this all day, just for the heck of it, just to watch them come up the wire. Look at that. Magic. They're just climbing. Here they come. Here they come. Hey. Sorry, I'm just like a child playing now. This is so exciting. I love it. Oh, big kid. Well, I've had this for a while and I've not got to use it yet, so it's actually really fun. Look at that. Like a little candy cane full of beads. So yeah, keep threading up your wire. I've probably got enough now, I don't know. That's a lot. How much have I got there? Oh wow. I have got almost, yeah, let's see. So I've got 34 centimetres worth of beads on there, just in 3 spins. So that's pretty damn good. So yeah, I would recommend a bead spinner. I'm going to get mine all finished spinning and then I will come back to you and show you what to do next. And if you don't have a bead spinner, I'm afraid you're just going to have to add your beads. And yeah, I'm not sure how many if you're adding them one at a time. So I'd recommend a bead spinner, but obviously you don't have to have one. You can put them in a pile and use the end of your wire and just sort of scoop across, and you will get quite a few up that way. That usually works quite well. If you just sort of scoop across the top like that, you can pick up, it's either that or, you know, one at a time. So I'll see you when you've got your beads strung. Okay guys, so first I made this set of leaves and I really did quite struggle. They weren't easy, but they do look quite effective and nice. And then I messed around with the loops and found a way to make them pointy instead of round like that. So yeah, I wanted to do a continuous loop like I did with the lavender, but I managed to do them with points, and that was so much easier than doing these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to splice the video together and I'm going to leave in that one and I'm going to put in that as well, so that, and then you've got an option of which type of leaf you want to do. This is more traditionally how they do the French flower beading. You might have seen a video on it before, so you know, I mean, if you're happy with doing this, I thought I'm going to put this one first. I was going to put it after making these because I've already done them, but I'm going to do it the other way around. So if the video seems a bit weird, that's why, because I think these are easier. I think they're just as effective, and for me personally, that's the method I'm going to use from here on in for all the rest of my roses. I'm not going to do this method, but I will leave that in there in case any of you would like to learn to do these. So if you're happy just doing this set of leaves and you don't want to learn how to do these, you can just skip forward to that part and then we'll be putting the rose together. So I'm going to splice the video so that both of these methods are in there. I could just leave one out and do one method, but I just thought, why not? Why not leave them both in there, and then you've got options of how you want to do your leaves. I mean, that one's come out a weird shape anyway, but so they're not all perfect, but you know, it's all a learning curve, isn't it? But I really like that. I think they look really good like that. So I'm going to stick with this method. Anyway, just thought I'd explain because it seems a bit weird the way it's going to be spliced together, because I've already filmed these and now I'm going to splice this in. So there's going to be 2 leaf methods and then we're going to put the rose together. So yeah, see you all in the next section. Okay, so there's several ways we can do the leaves. I'll show you this way next because it is a little bit harder. They're quite hard to do. Well, I think they're hard to do anyway. You might find them easy, but I don't. I'll show you the easy way first. So you're just going to take your green wire with your beads on it. I'm going to take 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I'm going to start with, no, 11. I'm going to start with 11, like so. Bring them away from the edge, pull it down like that, and just bend them over the same way I do my lavenders, and then just twist just once or twice. Twice I think we'll do, and then squish them in like that, and take another row of beads, and then we're just going to wrap them around that first row of beads nice and tightly against them like that. Just bunch them around like that. And obviously these are not going to be very pointy just because of the way we do them. So, and then take one more row, and again I'm going to bring that wire in. Maybe I've wrapped it once too many times, so we've got to be careful not to wrap it too much because you get too far away from your leaf. Right, so push them down. I'm going to wrap it around like so. Bunch them up. I want that to go in nice and tight. Really, I want this one to come to a bit of a point. I'm going to try to give it a bit of a bend there. So the end of my leaf will be a little bit pointed. It's a bit too pointed, too far away rather from the other beads. Right, more like that. And pull it down like that. It's fiddly, just go fiddle around with it till you get the right shape you want for your leaf. Bring it down and pinch it. I need a couple more. Yeah, pinch it like that. And then twist like so. So you've got a kind of a little pointy leaf. And what you can do is you can cut that off and do them individually so that you've got, here's one, I've already done one, you know, you can just do them like that and cut them off like we did with the other ones. Or we haven't done, well, I haven't, yeah, I'll put that piece of video in next actually. This is probably going to be after. I video in pieces, so, and then I join it all together. So yeah, that's one way. You can see one looks a bit more pointy. So if you, when you get to that last row, bend your wire a little bit, look, so you can make it pointed instead of rounded. they don't look an awful lot different to these ones, do they? But that method is a lot quicker and a lot easier. And also, if you want to, instead of cutting one off at a time like that, you can just carry on. Let's pull out again a little tiny bit. Doesn't want to do it. That's it. Right, there we go. You can then go ahead and just make more. So just leave a small gap like that. And then take your 11, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Bend those over. Do your first twist. And start adding your other beads. And you can do a second one if it's joined on like that. Just do a bit of squidging around, you know, to get the wire where you want it. That's the advantage of being able to bend it. You can make it go where you want it to go. So keep bending it round. Oops. Get it nice and tight. Squeeze that in. Yeah, that'll do for the second one. And then twist. 1, 2. Not too many. And then another layer round. Try and squish it in nice and close. Like that. And so that is going to be my halfway point there. So I'll bring those beads back down. Oops. And make a point in my leaf like that, like we did last time. Give it a little bend. Just measure it out to the right place first, and then when you bend it over, it should be in the right place. If not, you can have a crooked leaf, which is fine. Yeah, mine's crooked, look. I should have done it there. Hang on. Trial and error. It's all trial and error. It's all fun. And that's the great thing about this wire. You can reshape it if you get it wrong, redo it. Alright, look at that. Yeah, that's a nice pointy leaf, isn't it? That will do nicely. So I'm going to pinch that there. Nice and tight. And twist. 1, 2, 3. So now we've got 2 leaves. And then what we're going to do is just keep going round and keep repeating that until you've got a row of them like we've done with these loops for the lavender. So if you could just keep doing that, start the next one, leave a little gap, maybe a slightly longer gap this time. Take your 11 down again. 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. Leave a little bit of a gap so we've got space. Bend them over. Twist them up. Give that a squeeze. Go bring some of these beads down. Go around. Your leaf. so. Should be enough, like that. And then 1, 2, just 2 tiny ones. So you want it to be nice and tight. That's better, and there'll be a bit more of a space between those 2. And then your third go round. Squeeze that in nice and tight. There you go, that's better. Just, you know, don't be afraid to squidge them around into shape. Just manipulate the wire to where you want it to be. Right. That's about the middle there. There, or there. Let's try that. Give that a bend, sharp bend, just to try and point that leaf. And then bend it back round. Like so. It's fiddly. Fiddly, fiddly. Just get it in the right place. That'll do. And twist. And there you have, oh, I've dropped a bead, oh well. Right, so that's another one. So if you join them together like that, until you've got, I reckon, 5, once we've put our rows together, just pop it together again. Can't count the amount of times I've done this. Right, like that. You'd wrap it round like that. Cross those over. I'll show you how to put them together at the end. And yeah, that would look really nice. So that's the easier way. It's a much easier way actually. I might not do the other way. I'll just leave that way. They're really pretty, aren't they? They look really nice. That is much easier than the other way that people do it. So yeah, I'm going to carry on until I've got, I think, 5 on here. And that's going to be my skirt. I think I'm just going to stick with that one. And I'm going to use that one. But you can also, there's another method to do the leaves, which I've done 5 of these. So I can use them for the other rows. So I'm going to make enough for 2 roses here. So yeah, that's 1 for 1 rose. And that's going to be for the other rows. So I'm going to carry on till I've got 5. And then I'm going to, once I've got my 5, say I had 5 here, I'm going to leave a tail and then cut it off. So you have like a short tail from the beginning and that longer tail at the end. So once you've got 5, leave your tail, cut it off, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so I thought I'd pop back and show you before I cut it. So I've done my 5. Some are a little bit more pointy than others. But I think, to be honest, once that's on the rose, I don't think it's going to look much different from these. And this is the way the French flower beading, how they sort of traditionally do it. I don't think it looks a lot different. But I'll show you both ways of how to do it anyway. So yeah, that's what it's going to look like. And then we'll just cut that one a bit longer like that. So once we put our rose together, we'll wrap that around the bottom of the rose and fasten it, and that'll be the little cup of leaves that comes up under the rose. So yeah, I think they look really nice like that. Anyway, I'll show you both ways. So right, and then we get to put our rose together. So we'll put one together with these, and we'll use these for the other one. So yeah, right, back in a moment. Just gonna have a quick sip on my coffee, rehydrate, and we'll put the rose together. Once you've got your wires all strung onto your beads all strung onto your wire, don't know if you trust me to teach you this or not at this point. Yeah, make a little loop in the end so that nothing falls off. And I'm going to take 5 beads. I'm going to slide them down to the end like so. and we'll go in a tiny bit, like so. And I'm going to leave about an inch. I'm going to move the beads out the way, and I'm going to make a loop, like so. Bring that wire across, like that. And then I want to twist them. Actually, I want that wire to end up on the top, so if I twist it towards me, yeah, twist it towards yourself 3 or 4 times, maybe one more, that'll do. So just twisting that round, so when you turn it round, you've got, yeah, this wire is on the top, this working wire, you've got your bit with your beads on, and then you've got your twisted piece. That looks a bit weird, doesn't it? But this bit here, let's just pull it all straight like that. Straighten that out a piece. Straighten that out. So we're going to have these beads here. Basically, we're going to be wrapping beads around here and back down around here. So we're going to be wrapping here and going around. So this is going to be our stem wire, our base wire. This is going to be our wrapping wire. So we're going to take some beads, probably 6, because you've got 5 in the middle, so you want it to be slightly longer than the base. So I'm going to take 6. Let's try 6, see how that looks. Take 6 of the beads. We're going to wrap them across the top here like that. But we want to make sure these are nice and tight, look. Oops, too many there. That's my 6 beads. Or maybe we're going to need 7, because it has to come slightly above the one that's already there. Yeah, I think it's going to be 7. Right, so this first bit is really fiddly. So you want to make sure that these stay right down tight against your stem. These 5 beads that are sitting there, and we want to come across the top, and we need to cross this over. So what we want to do is keep it all pushed into place, nice and tight, tight as you can, and then when we cross this over, we're going to go up at an angle like that. Not straight across like this, you want it up. And that's going to make sure that the top of our leaf is pointed. So I'm going to pinch that really tight there, and with that angle there, I'm just going to wrap it around that, what we're going to make is our base wire here. This one's the base wire, so wrap that around. Once you've wrapped it around, like so, we're then going to come down, back down, at that same angle we went up, like that. So bring it down at a little bit of an angle, and slide some more beads down. And we're going to do the same thing, push them up against there, bring them around, and you want to make it so that they come across the bottom there. And this time, instead of going up at an angle, we're going to go straight across like that, because the bottom of the leaf will be rounded. And that should help that make a round shape at that end and a pointy at that end, if that makes sense. And keep in mind, I'm no expert at this. It's all a learning journey for me too. So, again, take however many beads, push them down until you're kind of like one above that. So it's growing bigger each time. You're one above the group of beads you've already got. And then we're going to go across and up at an angle, like so, like that. See the angle? And then pull everything down, pinch it nice and tight, and wrap around the base again for a second time, like so. Then we're going to push up some more beads and come down to the bottom of our leaf. Right, come down to the bottom and make sure those beads go across so it covers that space. Pull nice and tight, make sure you've got enough beads on there. Is that enough? I think so. Pinch tight and wrap around. And then we're just going to repeat that process. And one more time. I think we'll only need one more time, so we don't need very big leaves, because if we were making bigger leaves, you just keep wrapping more and more wraps to make the leaf bigger and bigger, but this is just going to be like the leaf skirt around the edge of the rose. We're not going to do big leaves all the way down the stem, because it's going to be in a bouquet. If you were doing just one rose, a singular rose, you might want to put leaves all the way down the stem of it, but not for this project, because it is going to be, like I say, in that bouquet. So, and then we go up at that angle and then wrap around like so, and then pull down at that same angle again. Take some more beads, back around to the bottom. Make sure you've got enough to cover. And then pinch tight and go around. And because we're only doing a small leaf, that's all we're going to need. So I'm going to wrap round 2 more times before cutting that wire. And you don't need to worry too much about tucking it in, because it's still going to be covered, wrapped in thread. You know, make it as flat as you can. And then once we've taken the top off, we'll shape our leaf a little bit more. So you want to take off the top of your wire like so. Leave a little piece, just enough to, because what we're going to do is we're going to curl it round and curl it under, so it's tucked inside between that first row of beads, so it'll be underneath inside, so it won't scratch anything. So take off the top like so. Take some pliers, fold it around to the back. Get it sort of arched so it's ready to go between the beads. And you don't want to crush any beads either, because you'll break them. So get that piece of white, if I can see it. That's it. And then bend it over like that, and then just give it the final push with your fingernail so you don't have to crush against the beads with your pliers. Push that in there until you can't feel any scratchy edges. It's smooth. That's the side that's going against your rose anyway, so. And then what we're going to do is give it some shaping by squidging our wires. Squidge it up a bit. Squidge that more into a point if you need to. Squidge it in a bit, like so. And then I'm going to slightly curl it with my finger like we did with the petals. And then that will sit on the outside of our rose like a little skirt. Just say our rose was put together, which it's not. Just imagine that's a full rose. Obviously it's not a full rose. They're going to sit like so around your skirt, and then you're going to give them a bit of shaping and whatnot. So all that's really going to show once that's stuck in the bouquet is sort of like the, you know, the top like that. But it does finish your rose off nicely to have that lovely little trim, you know, all the way around. So go ahead and make about 5 of those, and then we'll put the whole thing together on the stem. Not the neatest leaf you've ever seen, but and not actually the same size as the last one I made. That one's actually more pointy, isn't it? That one's a little bit more pointy. So yeah, it depends how well you go up at that angle. I've obviously made this one a bit bigger and a bit rounder, so it could do with being a bit more pointed. So obviously I've got to get my technique down. That's a bit better. So I've got 2 leaves, and obviously in nature nothing is perfect. They are all odd shapes and sizes and whatnot. When you look at a real flower, they are not all made like they came out of some factory somewhere. But yeah, see how pretty that will look when they're all done. It's the overall effect you've got to think about, not the individual leaf. Once it's all put together, you know, and it's got all the other flowers around it. Yeah, that's going to be lovely. They'll be just fine. So yeah, go ahead and make about 5 of those, and then we will put our rose together. And finally get to put my rose together. So I've got a stem. I've got one of those pre-wrapped stems, but you could take a piece of 18 gauge wire or whatever and wrap it yourself with some of the floral tape. Or you can just buy some. I bought mine on Amazon. They weren't really expensive, they were cheap. So, and then I'm going to take some embroidery thread. You could use sewing thread, any kind of thread really, just because it's less bulky than the wire, so then your stem doesn't get too thick. But what I've done is I've taken the embroidery thread and I've split it in half, so it starts off that thick, and then I just split it down the middle into two sections, which was a bit tricky without tangling it all up, but we got there. So take your thread of your choice. It doesn't really matter what thread you use, as long as it's, you know, strong enough to hold your pieces together. So I'm going to take my bit that I twisted up, and I'm going to put my stem literally just inside it like so. And then I'm going to take my thread, I'm going to put part of my thread along the stem, so that I'm going to wrap over that, and then, oops, put that back, slipped out, right, get that all in place, and then I'm just going to start to wrap real tight around that base of those beads and that wire, really, really tight, like so. And then holding the tension, keeping the tension nice and tight, I'm going to add one petal here. And right at the very base there of that last petal rather, sorry. And then wrap again nice and tight. And I'm going to take another one of my petals. I'm going to add that in. I want these ones nice and tight together. And then I'm going to also wrap that one in. Try and hold it in place. Which way is it going? That way. And then, sorry, hold that nice and tight in place, and twist that thread around the very tops of that wire. nice and tight in against where the beads are, and then we'll start working your way down. Put them nice and tight and go down a little way, like so. Right, that's 2. Then we're going to start adding in our next set of petals. So I'm going to add one. Make sure you give them a little curve. Put your finger in there and give them a little curve round so they sit tightly against each other, like so. I'm going to add in my 3rd petal. And this one is just going to be slightly further down. Just slightly, so I had to take it away so I could see it. Just like so, just below that little lumpy bit of thread. And then, oops, getting it to stay still is quite difficult. And then wrap around nice and tight. And 1. And then we're going to add a 2nd one, and I'm doing mine in the alternative colour there. I'm going to add a 2nd one. That same height, and then wrap that nice and tight. And don't worry too much, because we'll shape it all up afterwards and, you know, squidge it all into place. Right, so that's 2, and then we're going to add the 3rd one, which I haven't shaped. So I'll just give that a squidge, curve it a bit. The wind's picking up out there. It's getting quite wild. Right, then add my 3rd one around this side. Try and keep everything in place at the same time. Right, hold that in place. And keeping my tension on my thread with my finger here, pulling it nice and tight. So everything stays in place. Just check. And then wrap super nice and tight around the top there of all 3, and then just work your way down a tiny bit, like so. Oops, careful not to catch your rose, like so. And then we're just going to continue doing the same thing, adding our next set of leaves, petals. Leaves, petals. Right, so 1 more. I think I'll do it on the crossover, this one. There, like so. There. And a little bit fiddly because you've got to keep hold of your thread at the same time and keep your tension. But it's not impossible. Alright, done 4, that should do for a minute. And then our next petal, give them a little curve around. Right, so our next one, pop that there, so it sits flush with the other one. Like so. So those bottom beads just sit flush together. And then again, wrap nice and tightly. Keep the tension on your thread and move around. I want that one to go underneath. And take your next petal and do the same thing again. We're just going to do this all the way around until we've completed our rose. Not 100% how many, sure, not 100% sure how many we're going to use, but I think about 11. So for the entire rose, 11 altogether, I think it is. That's my guesstimate. Right, and then another one, maybe 10, we'll see. Right, one more here. Just keep going round, adding those. I think it's just going to be 10, you know, not 11. I don't think I need 11 petals. So let's have a look around. Yeah, like sort of sit under there like that. Right, let's just wrap that one. Oops. Right, let's put that back. It's fiddly, but you know, the process is relatively simple. Like most things, it's actually quite simple when you look at the technique, but it's fiddly, you know. So just need lots of patience. As long as you've got patience. I think we're still going to add one more. What I'm going to do is squidge them around a bit so they overlap each other. Those ones are already overlapping. Hang on. No, I do think we only need 10, you know. I think 11's going to be too many. So it's going to be... get it right. Okay, so I don't think we need 11. Let's just tighten those off a bit. Get that wrapped, and then we can have a look. Do I need another petal, or is that enough? Should I add one more? Not really sure. Because, hang on, I'll take it off camera just for a second so I can squidge it up and see whether I need any more. I need to look at it from above, and I can't do that under the camera. No. I might just do another row though. Right. I don't think we do. So what I'm going to do is do the skirt next. I've wrapped down a little way, but we're going to end up going back up. Right, so I'm going to take my skirt of leaves, like so. And take that tail out the way and hold it with my little finger. That's why I wrapped it down a bit, to get it out the way. So I'm going to take this longer wire, and I'm going to take it all the way over that first leaf here and wrap it round that first leaf at the base of it. Try not to tangle up in your beads. Go all the way down to the base onto the wire, like so, and then pull it tight so it joins them together, and then you can sort of squidge that up, and then twist those two wires together, tighten that up, and then hold that up against your rose with the long wire here and the short wire against your stem, and then squidge it all together like so, and take this wire and wrap it tight up against those leaves as you can, like that, and then take it down away like so, and just keep going until there's no wire left. You can twist it if you want, like that. Right, and I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to unwind it back to where we were, if I haven't tangled it up in these little bits. So I'm just getting it out the way. Right, back to where we were, and then I'm going to wrap a few wide ones just to get it back to the top, so I can then cover up all that wire, and then just start wrapping down. Doesn't matter if there's a little bit showing because it is green. So, and then wrap down like so, and just keep wrapping. Just keep going and going and going. You could probably at this point just start twisting. So I'm just gonna pull all my threads down like that. And then hold my thread, and then I'm just gonna twist like so. And that just looks a lot nicer, a lot cleaner, a lot smoother than doing wrapping the wires around, you know. I do think it's easier to do it just actually wrapping it though. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap mine to the end, and then when you finish wrapping, we're going to wrap the end in some floral tape. So I'm just going to go away and finish wrapping that, because you don't want to sit and watch me wrap all the way to the end. That would be boring. But yeah, and then we'll give our rose a bit of a shaping and put the tape on. I'm not going to wrap all the way down because my rose is going in a bouquet. If you were doing a standalone rose, you might want to go all the way down. But what I'm going to do is take my floral tape, give it a stretch so it does that sticky thing. And then I'm going to put it on about here, because this bit's going to be inside, lost inside our bouquet. And that's what I'm making. So I'm going to tightly wrap it to that one spot, and then what I'm going to do is bring it down at an angle like so, and just keep wrapping at an, oops, don't bend your wire, just keep wrapping at an angle all the way down like so. Just keep going, putting it down a little bit each time, and that's going to secure my thread, and it's going to make sure that when you do stick it into the bouquet, the threads aren't going to be shoved and, you know, misshapen. So finish it off with a bit of floral tape, and then at this point you can go ahead and cut off that thread. Hang on, oops, I don't actually need that anymore. I'm going to cut that thread, but that will secure your thread so that it doesn't come undone. And like I say, when you poke your flower into your bouquet, or if you were doing just say a singular rose and you wanted to stand that in a you know, thin glass vase with some little glass crystals in the bottom, and just stand it in there, that would stop the fibres in the fabric from being damaged. So that's as far as I'm going to go, because I don't want mine to be that long. And what I'm going to do is, this is going to be cut off, but I'm not going to cut it until I've made all my flowers and we'll start to put the bouquet together, and then I'll know exactly what length I need it, because I can always cut it shorter, but I can't put it back. So I'm going to save that bit till we actually put the bouquet together. That is our rose. How pretty is that? There we go, from the top. I really like that. Give it a bit of a squidge, shape it a little. Okay, so those of you who've been with me for a while will know I am a bit of a perfectionist, so I went away and added the extra petal. I wasn't happy with the shape. I kept looking at it thinking, no, that's the bottom. And from the side, that looks a bit fuller, doesn't it? And from the top. And now I'm happy. So I ended up just going over it with, I ended up doing just a little bit of the thread and going over it with the tape all the way down. Probably because I'd already wrapped it once and, you know, didn't want to spend loads of time on it again. But yeah, do add that extra petal. Make sure you do, because it looks much nicer, look. I just kept looking at it thinking, no, not happy. So there you go. That is now our finished rose. Sorry guys, I thought it looked okay, and then once I put it together, it was like, no. So yeah, definitely 11. Use 5 on the outside. So you start off with your curled one, 2 around it, then 3, then 5, and then your little skirt of 5 leaves. And that should give it the right kind of shape, so it looks full enough like a rose. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day. I will see you all soon. Take care for now. Bye. Just before we go, there's always a goodbye, then another one, then another one. I went ahead and added 2 of those leaves that I made from the second technique onto my stem, and then I sort of spread the spread the petals out a little bit so it wasn't such a tight ball, and that gives it a much more realistic look. How about that? Yeah, I'm pleased with that now. So that is my finished rose. I rewrapped it as well in the fabric, the embroidery silk, and just did a little bit of tape on the ends for when I stick it in my bouquet so it doesn't ruffle. And yeah, added a couple of leaves and opened up that flower head look. It's a lot more realistic once it's a little bit opened up. Just, you know, fiddle around with it till you're happy with it, and then yeah, that's my first rose. I actually did a bit more of the what do you call it, I'll quickly show you before we say goodbye. I did a bit more of the Gypsum, which looks much nicer now. It's in a bigger bunch. There you go. It does look lovely, doesn't it? It's going to all look lovely together in a bouquet. I can imagine it now. Yeah, I'm really pleased with that. And I've been starting to work on this, which is sort of a similar style to the Gypsophilia, but it's going to be all in crystals. So you can imagine when they're all together sticking out of a bouquet, that's going to be gorgeous, isn't it? I can't wait to get it finished. I'm so excited. I love it. This is a project I'm really enjoying so much. Anyway, thanks for watching guys. That's your final rose. Add a couple of leaves, I think, makes it look a bit more realistic, even if it's coming out of bouquet just tight at the top, you know. It just gives it a more finished look as well. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. Stay creative, stay inspired, and I will see you all soon in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.